Chinese leader Xi Jinping marked his ruling Communist Party's 100th birthday yesterday with a speech that included a direct warning to the rest of the world. Quote, "We will never allow any foreign force to bully, oppress, or enslave us." Joining us now to talk about all of this is the author of The Coming Collapse of China, Gordon Chang. Good morning, Gordon. Great to see you today.
Good morning, Allison, and thank you so much.
Of course. So, Gordon, the Chinese leader, he received the most applause yesterday when he said that China wouldn't be bullied. Do you think that this was a clear reference to the U.S. over accusations that Beijing has been abusing its power?
Oh, certainly. And also to the rest of the world. Xi Jinping's speech was ominous. Not only did he say, basically, I want to conquer my neighbors because China believes it should be bigger than it currently is. He also said the Chinese people are good at taking down the world order and creating a new one. And that's a reference to his notions of Tianxia, that the Chinese should rule all under heaven. In other words, that Xi Jinping himself is the world's only legitimate ruler. And by the way, Chinese officials have also been talking about the moon and Mars as sovereign Chinese territory. There's never been a more ambitious or aggressive ruler in history.
Yeah, well, obviously, we have Texas Senator Ted Cruz. He's listening. He's warning the Biden administration that these threats from China, they must be taken seriously. Take a listen.
One of the real consequences of the COVID pandemic is, I think, it opened eyes in the United States and across the world that communist China, they are murderers, they are liars, they are torturers, they run concentration camps. They are committing genocide of Uyghurs right now, over 1 million Uyghurs in concentration camps as we speak. And so I've introduced over a dozen separate pieces of legislation designed to fight back on their military aggression, to fight back on their espionage.
So Senator Ted Cruz said that President Trump, when he was president, was very adamant about how we should be concerned about China. Do you think that the Biden administration is taking this warning seriously? How do you think that they, are responding to this and what they should be doing?
Their response almost seems as if they didn't hear a word of what Xi Jinping was saying. You have Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo saying, oh, that speech was just bluster, and that we want American companies to be in China. Well, look, the proper response to I want to conquer the United States is not we're going to strengthen your military with our investment and trade dollars. And that's effectively what she said. So, no, they didn't hear a word. And this is really interesting because the Chinese always telegraph their punches. They told us what they want. They told us what they're going to do. And the rest of the world, and it's not just the Biden administration, but it's certainly the Biden administration as well. They're just saying, oh, no, you can't mean what you actually said.
Yeah, I mean, when you're saying a speech like that, you would think that they would actually believe them. In his speech, he also talked about his longstanding pledges to restore Taiwan. Is there concern that this could lead to potential military confrontation involving the U.S. because we do supply arms to the island's government?
Yeah, certainly. Well, Xi Jinping has doubled down on this. Remember, he's just had a significant anniversary where Taiwan is not part of the People's Republic. And that creates pressure on him just to have an anniversary. But to highlight Taiwan in the speech like he did, puts him in a position where he purposely decided not to have any maneuvering room on this. And so clearly we've got to be concerned. We need even more Navy patrols in the Taiwan Strait and in waters adjacent to Taiwan. And this is something that is bipartisan. Both Democrats and Republicans want to defend the island. But we need to be clearer in our intentions, because right now Xi Jinping is very clear in his intentions.
Gordon, we have about 30 seconds. What's our biggest threat from China? Is it cybersecurity?
Right now, it's disease. They just spread a disease that has killed about 604,000 Americans. It's killed 3.9 million outside. And Xi Jinping deliberately took steps to spread the disease beyond its borders. Whether it started out as a biological weapon or not, Xi Jinping turned it into one. Yeah. And that disease is still ravaging the United States.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Gordon Chang, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Allison.
All right.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.